Hi everyone, my name is Kaylee Melville. I'm the co-director of Rubiks Collective, and welcome to today's live stream. We are here with Tamara Kohler, co-director of Rubiks, and Sylvia Lim, our current Pythia Prize winner. And this live stream is because we are about to launch the video version of Sylvia's Pythia Prize work, Shades of Night, which is a very exciting day for all of us. Before we kick off, I'd love to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land from which I'm broadcasting today. In my case, the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung and Boonwurrung Boonwurrung people of the Kulin Nation. They are the first storytellers, musicians, artists on this land, and it's a great honour to be here in this place that has so much beautiful history. So, a little bit of background. The Pythia Prize is an initiative that Rubiks launched in 2017, which was aimed at creating new opportunities for female and gender diverse composers to create new works, and with a really deep focus on collaboration. So working together, Rubiks and the composer, to create something new. And this one has been a particularly interesting experience because it's our first time working with an internationally based Australian composer. And so there's been a lot of playing with different ways of working. And it's been quite a slow burn. We've been working on this piece for quite some time, and it's a really exciting day for us to be putting this out into the world. Sylvia, I wonder if we can start with just telling us all a little bit about yourself, your background, your musical interests, what you get up to.
Yeah, sure. Yes, I'm Sylvia. I'm a composer. I'm living in London at the moment, but I was born in Sydney and lived my teenage years there. As a composer, I really enjoy exploring the intricate details of sound. I love how sound is often in flux, and there's just so much richness and color, even just within one instrument. And with this piece, there are four, which is really exciting. I love creating spaces where we can notice these subtle changes occur in the sound, where the instability of the sound is in the foreground of the piece. And I often find these sounds through improvisation and working closely with players. Yeah, I really like inhabiting spaces that are vast. I guess that's what I'm aiming for in having a focus on a limited amount of materials. I feel like we can go deeper into them and find more possibilities and potential.
That was what you're talking about there, was such a beautiful part of the process for us as musicians, as really taking quite small amounts of material and exploring them in a really large, vast way. And certainly, I mean, a favorite part of the process of this whole work for me was right at the beginning, when we were talking about all sorts of different inspirations, what excites you, what excites us, and we sort of entered some kind of creative worlds together to make the piece. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more specifically about the specific inspirations behind this work.
Yeah, sure. So the starting point for me was these nocturnal paintings by William de Gouve de Nantes, who was a Belgian painter around the late 19th century, early 20th century. And I love these paintings because they're so, they're dark, they're dimly lit, but they're really, I don't know, there's this beautiful stillness and introspective quality to them. So we have these like indoor and outdoor spaces, and you don't see anyone there. It's just nature or buildings. And I just love how the idea that, you know, as our eyes adjust to darkness, we might encounter something that we didn't know was there, or that we might look at something in a different way because of the different lighting. And I guess the piece is exploring that. But there were also other influences besides those paintings. There was Rebecca Solnit's book, A Field Guide to Getting Lost. There's also Tanizaki's In Praise of Shadows, which explores the aesthetics of darkness. And also some of Marsha Hafif's black paintings. What I love about those paintings is she talks about how, you know, she's trying to create the color black, but she's combining different pigments to create that. So it's the idea of combining different shades of things. to create this darkness. And also this really beautiful work which Alison Chorn, who's my collaborator on this project, she shared this this film called Psalm 1, The Lateness of the Hour, which was directed by Phil Solomon. And it's this beautiful film with really ambiguous forms, with very subtle shades and color. And yeah, I was just really, really interested in that.
It was such a rich palette of inspirations for us to draw on, and was really exciting for us. Very early, when you applied for Pythia, we could just imagine this whole world from kind of these different sources that you were referencing, and it was really exciting for us to daydream into where this might go and to see where it has gone. Sylvia, you mentioned Alison briefly there. I wondered if you could talk a little bit about her role in the collaboration, because this is something quite new for us as well, bringing in someone who is more from a visual art background into the Pythia process.
Yes. So Alison Chorn is a Cambodian-Australian artist and filmmaker. And I encountered her work in the MCA in Sydney. She had this beautiful installation in the gallery, and I just was really drawn to her work because I felt like we shared similar artistic interests. And during the time I was composing the piece, we met up quite often and we spoke a lot over Zoom. And she created these prismatic lighting projections, which were, they were projected onto the wall behind the performers in the live version of the piece. And she was exploring, I think, glass or crystal and lighting projections. And it was just a really nice parallel, I guess, to the sounds. I think in our conversations we talked about very similar things, about how to create depth and mystery, but to not make it feel sinister, because I think that was one of the things we were trying to avoid with darkness and heaviness. We're trying to make it quite light and ambiguous and a bit blurry. So it was nice to have that. It was really nice to have her as a sounding board throughout the process as well.
It's interesting to hear you say about trying to avoid that heaviness, Sylvia, because that was something I really felt in the percussion part, actually, that there's quite a bit of playfulness there, and especially in some of the instruments that popped up. Pythia is always such an adventure for me, because I feel at some point there's always a moment where we go, what if we just used this kind of crazy or unexpected or unusual thing to make sound? In the past, it's been things like looking for specifically pitched gas bottles or things like that. But for this one, it was these rockers. Would you mind telling a little bit about those, and maybe how you came across the idea for those?
So they're these, you referring to the toys, like the like bell things? So I don't know, I just really liked the idea of bells that we couldn't see, and this idea of instability and a lack of control from the performers, and also the natural rhythms that they would create as they rocked back and forth. And I guess I was also interested in like wind chimes because of that natural rhythm. And so I was just thinking about metallic objects and bells, but I really enjoyed that you found ones that had a very playful exterior, being a koala and is it a lion? So that was really nice.
We looked very hard for the original source kind of material for this one. There's like a vintage Apple rocker that has a very distinctive bell sound.
Yes.
We really wanted one, and you just can't find them anywhere, but it's going to become one of those like lifelong missions now to see if I can track one down.
Yes. And I think those objects were so, sorry, Kaylee. I feel like those objects were so crucial actually to the way the piece developed, because I just remember in the first workshop, we had this improvisation prompt, didn't we? Where we were responding to those toys, and we were trying to imitate as an ensemble, like imitating those sounds and working how to translate those onto the instruments, and the few seconds that came out of that formed the start of the second movement of the piece. And I thought that was a really nice happy accident, in a way, of finding these objects externally, and then making a piece out of that. That was really special for me to experience.
What was picking up on things like those improvisations and a whole ensemble trying to take lead from a completely random toy that could do anything at any moment. I think that it sort of embodies the journey that we went on as a group with this piece, because you mentioned before finding sounds that have a lack of control, and that was certainly, I think, as an ensemble, we're very classical musicians and we're trained to get it right and play it, with precision and perfectly. And certainly from, the bass flute part, it was living in between multiphonics and letting them move between stability and falling out of stability and finding the fluidity within that and trust. And I certainly personally, it was kind of a trust exercise that I had to develop in letting the sound go where it wanted to go and not trying to control it. And I think I can't speak for all the Rubiks musicians, but I think I was certainly listening in an ensemble capacity as well, differently to how I would usually, just trusting and not trying to control as much that we do so often with ensemble playing. That was a really interesting experience, I think, as a musician.
That's interesting to hear.
Yeah. I think something else you picked up on before about you mentioned working on Zoom with Alison, and it's really interesting that you did your entire collaboration basically with Alison being in Adelaide and yourself being in London. And of course, a lot of this work was developed in different locations. I was in London a lot of the same time with you as well, and then the ensemble were in Melbourne, and then there were times when we were all in the room together and times when we were working separately and times we were working online. And I'm just interested, this is the first Pythia Prize we've had with an international winner. We've worked with lots of local players and local composers, and then we had an interstate winner, but this is the first time that our winner was based overseas. So it certainly opened up some new channels of collaboration and methodology for us, but just interested to hear a little bit more about what that process was like for you.
I thought it was a really nice mixture, and I feel like we managed to have a really good collaboration even though we were in different locations. Like, we had 3 ensemble workshops and then a couple of one-to-ones on top of that, which for me, I felt it was really nice to, and each workshop was 3 hours long or something. It's a lot of time with one another, which I really appreciated. So I don't feel like being in different parts of the world was a barrier to us working. I feel like, I don't know. I think also the length of time, being able to sit with a piece for more than a year, that was great. It meant that we could reflect and refine over time and try new things out.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess there were a couple of times where the Zoom audio was probably the biggest challenge. Sometimes, but we had Zoom other Zoom recorders, handheld recorders that we just shared. That worked really well, I thought. I don't know how you found it, but I had a great time.
There's something, it feels like things are always easier when you're in the room together, but there's something I do like about remote collaborations where it almost feels a bit like having a pen pal, that these kind of ideas come, and it can be a bit more of a slow burn, that process. And I think sometimes that can be frustrating, but sometimes it's really beneficial just sitting with the ideas for that time. And I think in this case, this piece, it just really led us to some interesting places and to a really beautiful work, which I think it might be time for us to have a listen to. So we're going to skip over to the video of the piece now and play it in its entirety. But before we do, Sylvia, I just want to say thank you so much for this beautiful collaboration. We've enjoyed it so much. We've loved getting to know you and getting to know your music. We're incredibly proud of this video. It's very beautiful, and we should shout out to videographer Chris Bennett as well, who did some really beautiful work on this. A very big thank you as well to all of our Pythia Prize donors who have made this possible. We hope you love it as much as we do. So without further ado, the world premiere of the video of Shades of Night.
Yay!
Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Sylvia. We are very excited to have this video out into the world. So if you would like to see it again or share it, it will be up on our YouTube, our Vimeo today. We will have the link on our socials, in our link in bio, all of those things. And yes, thank you, Sylvia. Thanks to Tillman Robinson for his work on the audio, to Alison and Chris for their work on the visual elements, and thank you again to all of the Pythia Prize donors who have made this work possible. It's been such a pleasure for us to be able to spend this time on this collaboration to make something really beautiful, and we're all just really exceptionally proud of this work. And thank you. Congratulations, Sylvia.
Thank you, and thanks so much to Rubiks as well. It's been a joy to work with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks everyone, and we will see you at the next Rubiks event. Bye.